Did you know that Audible has over 150,000 titles of books waiting for you to download on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player? If
Oh.
you go to audibletrial.com/whiskeywinemoon, you can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial. Don't wait, get your free audiobook today. And now it's time for episode 62 of Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine. What is going on, ladies?
Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, nothing much at all. Just, here trying to maintain some level of calm in the storm, literally storm.
Yeah.
So wait, so it's about to storm where I am. It's storming where you are. Buddha, you're in another hotel room, which I thought was gonna stop after you were,
We don't know why she in that hotel room, honestly.
Right. I mean, I thought after you were made an honest woman, you were gonna give that life up. But
Y'all better cut it out. Y'all gonna get me in trouble. Well, it stormed here earlier already, so I think that maybe the storm is coming up the coast. I don't know. I'm kind of in south of you guys, so.
I don't know. What about beverages? Miss Smart, what you got?
Well, I have an empty glass because I've been drinking since the midday.
Oh dear.
Had a small happy hour at my house earlier today, so.
Wow.
I drank some wine from this weekend because I had a happy hour at my house this weekend. And then, and no, I don't know the names of it because those bottles, I've taken the labels off because that's what I do. And, yeah.
You take the labels off of your wine when you're serving? Like when you have
No. Once I'm done with the bottle, I take the labels off because I like to either keep them or use the bottles for my crafting projects.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they make good vases for sure.
Yeah, they do. Buddha, you have a $2 drink thing down by where you are, right?
Yeah, where I am, there's a restaurant like walking distance, and they sell $2 drinks. So yesterday I had, what did I have? Rum and pineapple, and then today I had the same thing, and I just did 2. But that was like an hour ago, and then you can't get it to go, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm tired today, though, so I'm chilling out.
Your voice sounds tired.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking water, but that's it.
Well, I don't have anything either because I have been indulging for the past week, so I'm detoxing right now. So I don't even have, I've been drinking water all day, but I don't even have anything, with me right now. So this sounds like this is going to be a kind of sort of tame podcast today.
Pusha, you girls don't know how to do tame.
I'm gonna do my best.
Last week we had to put you on mute. Now we're gonna have to make sure that you stay up.
Right.
Yeah, that you do have to make sure of that, because if it wasn't for the fact that we were podcasting tonight, I would be asleep, even though the sun is still up, even though it's overcast. So yeah.
It's black outside right now, y'all. I'm like, oh crap.
It's weird because it's like light but dark.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I mean, it's strong and powerful.
You say, oh, black, then oh, crap. I think that implies.
I mean, it's strong and powerful. It's just saying it's a force to be reckoned with. Black power.
Y'all are so crazy.
I see Jeffrey is in the chat. He says, hey, ladies, looking pretty as always. And then he said, did you all hear about what's happening in 2016? No. Can you tell us, other than a presidential election? I'm not quite sure what's happening in 2016. So, just kind of let us know what's going on with that. So I think that we're going to start just by getting right into the feedback and then kind of get into our title, which is conscious uncoupling. And we put the in parentheses because we want to talk about coupling and uncoupling. But first, let's see. Let's shout out all of our people who have been spreading the word about us via Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and hell, even word of mouth. Y'all bear with me because I got a lot of names. So thank you to John Garcia, Queen Neen from the In Deep Show and Recap the Recap, Jeffrey, shout out to you. Frederick D, Ashy from the Black Astronauts podcast. Hustle Crow. Brian P, that's my roommate's husband. Hi, Brian. He likes all our Facebook posts and stuff. Leonard Brothers from the Look and Listen podcast. Learn Traveler, Mimi Complex, Naturally D, who is friend of the show. Episodes 46 and 60 guest Kimba Fuzz. Wits, Tits, or Shut the Fuck Up. Shout out to you, Mrs. Nick. Welcome to Ask TND and Talk to D, because they gave us some shouts on Twitter last week. Let's see. Hey to Dr. Tyndall. That's our special. Evo 8 from the League of Shadows podcast. Evo, are you going to do another show? What's up with that? Nucleus 22, Phenom Black from Where's My 40 Acres, Kai Love from The Pisces Life, and Lonzo Harris. So thank you guys for spreading the word via social media.
Yay.
And then last week, let's see. Oh, wait, we got an email from Lady Trojan Scooter, and if you guys ever want to send us an email, our email address is feedback@whiskeywineandmoonshine.com. And she said, hey ladies, just wanted to say I truly enjoyed the podcast this week. You all definitely gave me something to think about and apply in my own life. My SO got me hooked up.
I was trying to do the same thing. That's all.
My SO got me hooked on your podcast a couple of months ago, and I have been watching them faithfully every week since. Unfortunately, I always missed it live, but best believe the next day I'm playing catch up. I'm currently home recovering from surgery, so it's giving me the opportunity to go back and check out your old ones as well, which I am loving. Please keep up the awesome work, and I will definitely keep watching. Hopefully soon I will catch you on a live podcast. So what's up, ladies? Trojan Scooter, we've heard so much about you that we feel like we know you already. So
True.
We want to wish you a speedy recovery, and we're looking forward to seeing you live in the chat too. Let's see what else we got. We had, Buddha Romero sent us a Facebook message about the Jada Pose thing that was going on. Do you want me to read the responses from our purpose-driven podcast or talk about that one first? Which one do y'all want to do?
Let's do our responses.
Okay. So last week on episode 61, our theme was the purpose-driven podcast. And one of the questions that we put out there for you guys to answer was, how do you want to feel? So we got some good ones. Learn Traveler said she wanted to feel blissful, present, and connected. Sweeter Nadia told us that she wanted to feel loved. During the podcast, Don De Laurentiis told us he wanted to feel like Billy Preston when he was going around in circles. That's what made me start laughing while we were doing the show last week. And then Call to Arms, who is a blog friend from way back, hey boo hey, she said that she wants to feel fully aware that she is living in the life she wanted and able to experience and exist in those moments. Sometimes getting to what you want happens so slowly, or you work so hard to get to that life that it's difficult to appreciate the moment.
Amen.
So we definitely want to thank all those excellent responses. And I thought that last week's podcast was such a good, it felt good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we are still looking for you guys to answer that question. And like we said, we'll do a follow-up show with that.
Mm-hmm. Did you do the ones from Twitter too? Weren't there a few on Twitter, or did you include those?
Those were it included both Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
I can read mine.
Ooh.
What'd you say? I saw yours, but I thought you said it
I heard it on Facebook.
What did you say?
I don't remember. I can't remember yesterday or this morning, so I remember last.
Let me see.
She wrote, I see it. She wrote,
What did you
feel
say?
unencumbered.
Yes, that is appropriate. That is correct.
Well, that's why you start drinking at noon. I mean.
Oh, goodness.
First of all, let's just stop right there. It wasn't at noon. Let's just be clear. I had the decency to wait until the respectable hour of at least the 3 o'clock hour.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
This is the same person. Never mind. Never mind. So I'm trying to make sure I did get everybody. Okay. So that was everybody. And so what we were talking about with Romero is that he had tagged Buddha and I on Facebook asking us what we thought about the Jada Pose situation that's going on. And I don't know how to necessarily get into it because he wasn't the only one. Like our friend Renee also asked us what we thought and what needed to be done or whatever. So do I need to kind of catch everybody up, or are you guys aware of what's happened in that situation?
I'm aware, and I wish I felt more passionate about it, but I don't. So this is all on y'all.
I'm generally aware, but I have been completely offline for the most part the last several days. So besides him bringing it up and then me seeing a couple of people tweet about it here and there, I really haven't followed it up. Like I saw that she spoke back, but I didn't actually see what the details were. I just saw that this happened, that happened, kind of like the cliff notes, but I don't have any details.
Yeah, when I saw the Facebook post, I was traveling, so I had kind of saw it a little bit come up on my Facebook feed, but I didn't really look at it until today. So I knew, like, just on the surface that a 16-year-old girl had gone to a party. She had a drink of what may have been spiked or whatever, and she passed out. And then some guys took pictures. They raped her. They took pictures of her and posted it online. And so she had the courage to step forward and go to the media with it after the story broke, which was, that was unusual because we never see a victim actually advocate for themselves. But the thing, I didn't understand the hashtag at first because I thought that it was Jada Posse, but people didn't know how to spell. Like they were standing for Jada, but, kind of got a grammatical error. But I didn't realize that the hashtag Jada Pose was because people were actually posing in the position that she was in. Mm-hmm. When the pictures were taken, like she was, passed out with her leg underneath herself and vomit coming up, and so it was almost like it went viral, like people planking. You know what I'm saying? So, right. And it wasn't just guys doing it; it was girls too. So, at first, like Miss Smart, I really wasn't that passionate about it at first. I was like, damn, this has happened again, whatever. But then when I saw like how people were mocking it online, that's the part that kind of got to me a little bit. So. To answer the question that I guess a couple of people have asked us is like, what can be done? To be honest, at this point, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how to change a culture where people would, like, pose like that. I don't even know where to begin to try to fix that.
I don't know. I mean, it's something that we haven't talked about it in a long time, but we did used to kind of toss around a question like that. Like, how can we redirect culture, in direct ways, I guess. And I don't think there's one particular answer. We started thinking about all kinds of different ways, but right now I think that people in general are desensitized to the fact that the things they do actually impact actual humans. Mm-hmm. And it's something that Karen brought up a long time ago when she was talking about one of her or maybe when they started podcasting in the beginning, maybe when she was on our show even, she just talked about the fact that sometimes people they seem like they don't realize that they're actually talking about another human being. And I think that the way that we have this reality TV culture where everything is just kind of on TV and it's over the top and it's laughed at on purpose, that it's hard to realize or distinguish the fact that those are real people and this is a real person and those people are doing something on purpose to get paid, and this is someone's life who wasn't an active participant who didn't agree. And so we sometimes don't make those same distinctions, that this is someone's feelings and life that's being hurt.
Yeah, it was almost like the whole thing was sort of a game. Even the dude, like, he dropped his mixtape on the timeline, like, in the middle of everything happening. He's like, oh, yeah, go listen to my song, X, Y, and Z. It was like watching a movie almost, where you do get disconnected from it. And that's why I said at first, like, I felt like how Miss Smart did, like I wasn't passionate about it at first until I realized that people turned it into a huge joke. And then I was like, oh, that's fucked up. Like, that's when I started to have some actual, like, feelings about it. Before it was like, damn it, this has happened again. I don't know, what to do, but it's just the fact that they made it into this big joke. I think that's what made me actually, feel something
But it's like so much. I mean, it's back to shows like Cheaters and all kinds of things where seeing people in pain is kind of the butt of the joke on purpose as a form of entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's like it's easy for people to just be like, oh, this is just another something that happened on the way to the store, as opposed to the same thing we always say, stop and think about it. And, you know, what if this was someone you know? So I don't know. I think, you know, aside from the slow but sure way, which is to interact with people one by one and try to start conversations that then ripple outward, I don't know what the big, you know, the huge motion that you can do, the sweeping gesture that you can do that could have true impact.
But you can't, because it's like people who knew it was savage, you know, people who have common sense knew that was a messed up thing to do. Then you have your whole completely opposite people who don't even share the same values. And that's the part where you're like, well, I don't know what to do with you. We don't, you know, I don't have anything in common with you.
Right.
So here's the thing. So you probably can tell by my face, this whole topic is a complete yawn to me. Mainly because I admit to being desensitized to it, but I also feel like the real way to combat this is to make it uncool and unpopular to do what they did to her.
Right.
That's it. That's point. But I mean, criminalizing it doesn't work.
No.
But that's what I'm saying. How do you make it uncomfortable? I mean,
showing her and how it's messing up her life doesn't work. The people who do this stuff have to feel some personal pain. And the personal pain, especially for young people, is a social one.
But that's what I'm saying. It isn't unpopular. It was more popular to do the poses and hop in on that trend of Jada posing than it was to say to that dude, you know, this is messed up what you did. Because even when I saw when the Twitter, you know, activists, you know, retweeted him and they all went after him and, you know, all of that stuff, that didn't make him feel unpopular. He had a whole crew behind him that was still, you know, like, well, she did this and, you know, she was a slut anyway. I mean, you know, like, to make him feel some sort of social, become a social pariah.
Pariah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that, we can't do that because he wouldn't be in our social circle anyway.
We can't do that for him, but we can start in earlier years making this type of behavior just have such a huge social penalty that people try to avoid it. It's sort of like you can't, and I don't know, I just remember when I was a teacher and we had this one kid who was blind. Nobody could be mean to him. He could kick another kid in the neck. And we had done a great job in making it so that it was unpopular to hit him back, to clown him for his bigger books, to clown him for, you know, bumping into things, all that stuff. But those are things that are done early. Like, you know, we started doing, well, in that case, they had actually started doing before he got to my class. They started doing it in elementary school. So that's where you start planting those seeds of, you know, you fucked up, right? You know you fucked up. You didn't mess with, you're whack because you're messing with the blind boy.
So who does that? The adults? So who's
you get the most popular kids on your team so that then they attack the kids who still have the nerve to be mean to the blind boy.
But that's the thing. I didn't see people who were popular, like I was looking at the kids who were, you know, doing that. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like they were the popular ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys know I'm in education, so I see stuff all the time. And I see my kids who have influence, and I also see the ones who would hop along with this. It's not the ones that will that they're my true popular people that will hop along with the Jada Pose thing. It's those.
There are two different groups. There's the in real life popular, and there's the e-popular. And so you deal with them the same, but in two different mediums.
But that dude wasn't even that. But that's what I'm saying. He wasn't even e-popular. He was an asshole who people thought the action was funny, and so they gratified it. It wasn't that he had this great reputation anyway that people were already gravitating to. He just did something that became a trend, and that's the scary part about it, is that anybody can become a celebrity doing dumb shit overnight. Just like the people who, you know, did the GoFundMe fundraiser where they were like, I'm gonna make a potato salad and I'm gonna raise $10 and raise $76,000 just on some shit.
Did his mixtape sell any? Did he sell any mixtapes?
Hell if I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but and he, you know, he was like some white dude that was trying to be black. I mean, it was just this whole different dynamic. But it just, you know, it just caught on and went like wildfire. You know, so, you know, whatever, that it just, I don't know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, even if we're still thinking about how to influence culture from the popular perspective, it's still the same thing, that you have to convince the popular people, whoever they are, that that's the right way to behave, and that they should then do something to convince others that they're behaving wrongly. Like, that's still going to go back to that individual interaction, I think, ultimately.
We got some comments. I see Hustle Crow has joined us. He said, sorry about missing last week. My brother was on a plane flying circles around Richmond waiting for the storm to end. It finally let up and they let him land. Essence is the business folks need to go if they haven't. I do agree. Essence is a good time, and we're glad you're back and that you had fun. And then Jeffrey said, yes, that's what's happening in 2016. Republican Party picks. Democratic stronghold, 2016 convention. And then he says political numbers for Cleveland. And I don't know how to pronounce this county, but I think it's Cuyahoga County.
Cuyahoga. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so that was Hustle Crow.
2016, the convention, I think, is in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then the other thing, going back to last week, we kind of touched on Andrea Kelly's situation. We used her as an example when we were talking about basically being purpose-filled, and how she had a scene where she was trying to convince her fiance to have another child, even though he didn't want to. He's adamantly opposed to it. And it sort of came out in the show that what she really wanted was to redo not having a partner to raise her children with. And so we kind of talked about that a little bit. But I didn't realize at the time when we were having that she's already filed for divorce from her husband. And so, like, I guess right around May on Twitter, some people, or some women, kind of came out talking about how one of them knew that he was dating her for the show. He had told her that he was dating her specifically for the show. And then the other one, he had stopped dating, but he had basically finagled her out of a whole bunch of money. So now they're going through a divorce situation in which she did not sign a prenup. And by marrying him, she also gave up her, I want to say, spousal support that she was getting from R. Kelly. So we started talking behind the scenes, not just about that, but also about Sherry Shepherd's situation. So we just said, well, let's talk about uncoupling. And then, you know, a few months ago, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow had this whole conscious uncoupling movement that started sweeping through the nation. So, you know, that's what, you know, we're going to talk about today. So any thoughts about Smart? I know you brought up the Sherry Shepherd thing. Kind of give us a rundown of what's going on with that.
So basically, Sherry Shepherd marries this guy named Sal, who, according to TMZ, in 2010, when they first met, had only earned $30,000, $9 of it from unemployment. Meanwhile, she was making $1 million. At the end of the day, he filed a separation petition in LA and asked that the prenup be ignored. And the prenup, honestly, only gave him $60,000 of her money if they split 5 years, before 5 years of marriage. I mean, before 5 years of marriage. So he wants that to be pushed aside, and he wants more than $60,000. In my mind, a man who was only really making $21,000 should be thankful for the $60K he gets. But the issue is that they had a child. No, they didn't have a child. His sperm and an egg that's not Sherry's, and the baby's now in a surrogate that's, holding the baby, or gestating, or have whatever fancy language is used, what happens to that baby? Now, there are so many things in my mind that are wrong with this.
I was so confused. I was so confused when you were telling me this. I was like, so wait, what? So
yeah,
who's
so basically, this broke-ass man lucked up on Sherry Shepherd's desperate snatch, and she can't have no kids. And then she went and got an egg and got some broad to carry it with his sperm. And now she's like, fuck that. I'm not paying for that kid. That kid is not genetically mine. I'm not doing it. And he's like, he wants custody of the kid, and he wants support from her. And
my question is, genetically, it's not hers.
It's not.
Legally, is it hers?
I don't know. Well,
that's what the courts have to decide.
Right, exactly. The courts have to decide that. But here's the rub here, and I'll be honest. And you guys know I've said many times that I don't find the fire to rally against things that kind of benefit me. So I understand that if this were a woman saying the same thing, then people would be, a little bit more forgiving. But since it is a man saying this and he's expecting some type of financial support, I say fuck him and the whole bottom shoes that he walked his braggy ass in on. Because he's a man, and I feel like as a man, you need to have your shit together. Now, if she's stupid enough to marry your broke ass, that don't matter. Legally, she covered herself. Like, you get $60,000. Be the fuck thankful. That's more than you came in with.
That just spoke volumes, because I had to look it all up.
I'm so confused. I'm still like, what?
I had to go look it up, and I had, me and Blue were talking about it, and it's just like, if you decide that the lump sum is $6,000, to me that means you really didn't think he was about shit in the first place.
Right.
That was what my initial impression was. If we're talking about, she basically said, I'm gonna double your salary from the year that we got married if we don't make it for 5 years, and that's all I got for you. It's one check, one time, deuces.
And look, he probably has some big fat former football players like Todd did on Real Housewives of Atlanta telling him, nah, dog, don't sign it. Or either telling him, dog, okay, it's okay if you sign it, because we gon', on the back end, you probably could, finagle, because he's from Detroit.
He couldn't work his way up to 6 digits.
He thought that the kid would be the kicker. It's like a reverse, like a flip the switch of this kid is gonna be like it's not anchor baby, but my meal ticket. But it's backfiring because you didn't use her egg. You didn't even try to act right until the baby was born. Like,
Dude, he only had 2 more years. Come on.
Like,
that's my whole thing. It's like, really, you were almost there. Come on now.
Right.
Well, okay, going back to the root of this, though, first, let's talk about conscious, because I don't see how, if once you're in that situation, there's no way to consciously uncouple once you get...
Can you make sure that we all know what conscious uncoupling is?
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. Okay, so let me tell you guys the definition of conscious uncoupling. So it refers to the act of ending a marriage or relationship, but in a way that is viewed as a positive step by both parties who feel that their lives will be better for doing so, and they can continue to remain friends, co-parent if they have children, and possibly not even fall out of love with each other, which is a whole nother, set of issues. But what I found was interesting was somebody who wrote another article, which I totally agree with. It says conscious uncoupling starts with unconscious coupling, and I don't mean drunken hookups. So she said the seeds of conscious uncoupling are sown somewhere in unconscious coupling. And by unconscious coupling, I'm not referring to alcohol-fueled one-nighters. What I do mean is that many of us choose mates who aren't right for us by ignoring our unconscious motivations for doing so. Nevertheless, our unconscious, our brain's holding place for repressed emotions and memories, helps fuel our decisions. In other words, we're not doing enough psychological due diligence when making a momentous choice. We simply don't know ourselves as well as we consciously think, and with the divorce rate hovering at 50%, it's pretty clear we need to dig deeper.
That sounds like the same stuff we talked about with the rage Twitter.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing we talked about last week. It's like, so for instance, going just leaning on the whole financial angle, I have several friends who are probably listening to this, watching it, or will listen to this right now, who found themselves in situations where they were the financial back of the relationship, and it is why their relationships are failing or have failed. They didn't get into it like that, but I am watching someone get into it exactly like that, and I think it's a great example of what this article says, is that she's not being honest about the psychological reasons why she's okay with being a sugar mama. She's okay with being a sugar mama.
Wait, go back to what you said before about, it was something you said about getting into something about her getting. Never mind. I was trying to get you to go.
Well, in one particular case, they haven't broken up. But she's getting into a situation, and she has consistently been a sugar mama, but it's because she feels like it gives her control. You can't, you're not doing anything for me, so I'm not taking the risk. Well, I know a lot of men I've dated in my life, and even men who think it's a great idea to be in a sugar mama situation up front, that sugar mama attitude usually emasculates them in the beginning, middle, and end of the relationship. But to go back to your point about these psychological reasons, I would say that they are numerous and often ignored. Like, everybody might be able to see it, but I do give a little leeway to women who get into these situations, but they start out where the man is doing quote-unquote man shit. But then when the woman starts making money, he's like, woo!
Right.
You can sit my happy ass home and play whatever the new latest video game is all damn day. And I've seen that happen, a dip in somebody's couch or some bullshit like that.
Right. Right. And that is different from starting a relationship where that was already kind of the case.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we started the show. Our trailer was Bills, 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 which, you know, we were talking about which song to use, and we were going to use Scrubs, or we were going to use Bills, 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 and I told y'all I wanted to kind of go back to the backlash that Bills, Bills, Bills got, because remember when it first came out, it was like this uproar with the men talking about, you know, Destiny's Child ain't nothing but gold diggers. All they want is some dude to pay their bills and stuff. And I was like, did y'all listen to the lyrics? Like, she was cool with the dude until he started using her phone, driving her car, not filling up the gas, and she was saying, I'm leaving you because you are draining my finances and you're not contributing anything. So,
let the record reflect, and I want to shout out my girl JP on this, because she pointed out that several of these Scrubs, Bills, 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 and I think it's another song that she pointed out that Candy Burris wrote. And
because she knows that life. No, I mean,
so maybe while Mama Joyce, I'm not even calling her Mama Joyce, that broad Joyce is batshit crazy, she might be rooted in some level of reality, because she's seen who her daughter has dated before, and I don't believe that a woman who hasn't experienced these succubus relationships, I mean, you know, you have to have experienced that to be able to write something like that, because it would never occur to me to say, can you pay my automobile? Like, first of all, I wouldn't
it never occurred to me that you were going to drive my car. No.
And listen. Let's I'm gonna just read the first two verses. At first we started out real cool, taking me places I ain't never been, but now you're getting comfortable. Ain't doing those things you did no more. You're slowly making me pay for things your money should be handling. And now you ask to use my car, drive it all day, and don't fill up the tank. And you have the audacity to even come and step to me, ask to hold some money from me until you get your check next week. And that's what Facebook's saying. You trifling. Good for nothing type of brother. Yeah.
And then, hold up, let's pull up Scrubs, because a scrub is a guy who thinks he's fly and is also known as a buster, always talking about what he got and just sits on his broke ass. So, no, I don't want your number. No, I don't want to give you mine. And no, I don't want to meet you nowhere. I don't want none of your time. Like, I don't see how that's a gold digging song. I feel like that's a conscious coupling decision. I feel like Candy was trying to consciously couple, like she was writing out, you know. Like she was writing out, here is my list of things that I don't want in a relationship. But all of a sudden it was turned into this whole, oh, well, they just, what about women go, like they flipped it onto women, and I was like, no.
And you know who did that? Wait a minute. You know who did that shit?
Scrubs.
Exactly. Scrubs and bitches who ain't never had a man to do nothing nice for them without having to fuck them for it. All of them got together. The two groups got together like, she's a gold digger. She just blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, they catching a bus to go spread their legs for some dude. Like,
oh, my God. Let me tell y'all what happened on Twitter. So, okay, child support conversation. Y'all know I hover on Black Twitter because that's like my ghetto version of, like, current events. So, of course, the child support conversation comes up. And some dude said, why can't the woman, or why does the woman, if she's doing well, why does the man have to pay child support if he's on hard times when she's got it? Why should he have to? And then, everybody was like it was like a record scratch, like, what? And then all of a sudden some women were like, yeah, why won't you, hold it down for your baby daddy, whatever. And I'm just like, it's the women too who are coming with this mentality that just, it blows my mind. Like, it boggles my mind.
Let me just say this. When it comes to child support, a lot of this child support stuff could be nixed if broads stop spreading their knees for broke men. Because
conscious coupling.
Whenever you see a man not paying child support, you can look back and see a man not taking a woman out. You can see
your car and not filling up the tank
with colored envelopes in his mailbox from bills he
ain't you from the passenger side.
Right, you can see all those things. So don't come to me and get shocked when little Jaquan Jr. is here and dude ain't put nothing on them Pampers. Like, stop giving men who are not doing what they should be doing access to your ovaries.
But that is conscious coupling. That's what we're talking about. Like, before you get to conscious uncoupling, you have to consciously couple. You have to choose your partner. And I guess that's the thing what the woman was saying in the article on HuffPo, was she was saying that we are ignoring key parts about ourselves and our reasons for making certain decisions. We decide to make really big decisions when relationships, marriage, having a child, all of those things are huge decisions that people. So hold on, I'm getting ready to read some comments in the chat. So I don't know what this had to do with the conversation, but Jeffrey asked if he should watch the Bad Girls Club. Sure, go ahead.
What you like?
Then Hustle Crow asked Jeffrey how old he was, and Jeffrey said he was 23. Hustle Crow said that makes sense. He also said
no petty for no reason.
Hustle Crow let his little petty flag fly. He also said if I were to marry and get divorced, I'd love $60,000. I'd be happy if she didn't burn my sneakers. And he said I ain't picky. And then Jeffrey said, I never heard of the song Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny's Child. This is the first time I heard it. Yeah, you need to listen to it, internalize it, and Jeffrey, just make sure
that word.
And make sure that you're making sure that you're able to sustain yourself, Jeffrey. We want you to, before you get out there and start dating, that you don't be a scrub. You know what I'm saying? Good luck to you, Jeff. Then Hustle Crow said, shut up, it's smart. Hustle Crow said the only dudes mad at scrubs were Bamas with no car or no fresh kicks. That came out when I was in college. I ain't have a car, but I had a little paper and fresh Jordan, so I got by. And that's the thing. The people who were not bothered by the song were the ones that it didn't pertain to them. Just like when I can't remember what the group was, but they had made like a counter song about they didn't want any chickens or any birds or something. Mm-hmm. I can't remember who they were, but I didn't get offended because that didn't pertain to me. But
listen, Scrubs, if you don't have a car and you're walking, yes, son, girl. I'm talking to you. If you live at home with your mama, yes, son, I'm talking to you. If you have a shorty and you don't show love, yes, son, I'm talking to you. Want to get with me with no money? Oh, no, I don't want no scrub.
And
It's just clear.
I feel like when we end the show today, we gotta end on Lisa, rest in peace. Lisa's verse when she says, "If you can't spatially expand my horizons, and that leaves you in the club with scrubs never rising." Like we have to end the show with that because yeah, that whole verse was everything. Yeah. So, how do if people don't know how to consciously couple, what are some things that we can kind of talk about? Excuse me, are key with consciously coupling? Like, what should you know first before you walk out there in these streets trying to date?
Okay, so I think you have to know yourself and where you are and who you are and what you are. So, for instance,
that's you with the thunder?
No, well, that was my AC, my loud ass ridiculous AC. What I keep asking y'all hear.
Well, we heard it now.
Okay, right. Right beside the vent. So you have to be aware of who you are. Like, for instance, I know, and I think I've mentioned this before, I probably could never Insta-mom because if I would like to go and get a slice from New York right now, I could get on the train and do that. I don't have no kids. It can't be with a dude. We got to manage. That's not me. I know that about myself. I also know that I like some time to myself. Like, I don't, and I know this is a very masculine thing about me, because at least men say this all the time, and not about me, but in general, that they like to come home and have time to wind down.
That's just introverted. That's not masculine.
That's like, I don't like to be spoken to when I come home.
Right, leave me the hell.
Yeah.
I wash my face.
The City had an episode about that when what's his name was asking Carrie, like, as soon as she came in, how was your day? What did you do? What so and so and so and so? And she was like, stop. So
right, like that's not what we're about to do. But at the same time, I mean, I know that there are some things that are ridiculous that I do. I have some ridiculous tendencies. So I also need some. Excuse me. Were you? Oh, okay. I need someone.
That was your conscience. I didn't even say nothing. That was your conscience.
Oh, right. But I need someone to acknowledge those ridiculous tendencies and sort of work around them. You know, like my ridiculous tendency of liking to be like, I don't have to be asleep, but I kind of like to be in my house by 9:30. Right. I just like to be in here.
So you can't be with somebody who's like, no, we need to stay out till 4 o'clock all the time.
But why? Turn up for what?
That's exactly what I think. That's why I'm laid out right now. But but I think it goes back. This goes well with our question from last week. But how do you want to feel? Because you can be aware of those things, but kind of go into a state of denial if you feel like your goal to be coupled overrides the feeling that you feel when you're not having your needs met. So if it's like, well, I really do need this time to sit silently, but I really also want this man, and I feel sad when I don't have a chance to unwind, but my desire to have this man is so strong, at some point those two things they're in conflict, and one is going to outweigh the other one. So I think you just kind of have to be honest about how you feel when that moment, as those moments are happening, and that's the thing that's why that question becomes valuable. So if you don't realize that it's making you sad, it's an opportunity for you to think about it.
I think that you can't operate from a place or a mindset of lack. And I think that's where people make their biggest mistakes, not just in relationships, but with jobs, with anything, thinking that nothing better is going to come along. So they feel like if I don't take what's in front of me right now, then I won't ever have the chance for happiness. And that's how a lot of times people end up in these sketchy situations. Like even Drea, come on now, you knew that dude. Like, we all side-eyed that dude, when he first popped up. And it was like she was so wanting a real relationship, wanting to be a wife, wanting to be acknowledged as a wife, that she hopped on it so quickly without saying, hey, let me just slow down and take my time to really get to know him, for maybe 4 seasons, before deciding to get married. And so I think when people just actually take the time to slow down and say, like something they used to always say in my church, there's no lack or limitation in my life. slowing down gives you a chance to actually answer the question to yourself, how do I want to feel? Or even in those moments when you don't know, you don't really have the answer to that question in that moment, you allow yourself the space for it to come. So that's one of the things that I would say before you couple. Slow down. Don't feel like that person is the last thing out there.
You're assuming people want to feel, and I think we've talked about this before in the context of Orange is the New Black. Some people don't want to feel. They just want to check things off of their list because they've been told that these things are going to make them happy.
Well, that was what I was going to say as the secondary part, that it's not just, you said know thyself, but love thyself is going to be the corollary. Like you can't just go and look for all these things thinking that you'll be fulfilled because of the role only. So I can check off wife, or I can check off mother, or I can check off whatever, but if there's anything that's missing on the inside, having those roles is not going to all of a sudden give you that. So knowing and loving yourself, I think those two things go hand in hand.
Well, I think that part of it, and this is sort of goes on, we can talk about this a little bit next week, but I think that, at least for women, because I've only ever been a woman, so I don't know what men do, but I think a lot of times women pay a lot of attention to campaigning to get someone to validate them. And by validate, I mean usually some form of love them, when really they probably should be spending more time. Well, and I think I tweeted this, when you spend more time campaigning to get the other person to like you or love you, you don't pay attention to who that person is.
And you don't give them the opportunity to just see you as your real self. They always see you in campaign mode, and when you get in the office and not fulfilling those promises that you made when you were campaigning, then all of a sudden they want to impeach your ass from the relationship.
That is such real talk. And actually, I mean, I'm not going to go too far down this road, but that was one of the things that made my current relationship very meaningful early, because I felt like, oh, this is a person who actually sees the real me as me, and not kind of any of these other ways that people might see me that aren't really true. Like, that really touched me, and I didn't feel like I did anything differently, but I just felt like that was someone who could see me. So I think that when you start going on these campaigns, it's true. I like that. I like that analogy of the campaign promises and being in office. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Hustle Crow did tell us the artist who did that song. What was the title though? The artist was Sporty Thieves, and he's right, it was Sporty Thieves, but I can't remember what that song was. There was a rebuttal to Scrubs. Jeff said, "Rest in peace, Lisa."
No pigeons.
No pigeons. That's right. Rest in peace, Lisa Left Eye Lopez. I was upset when I heard Left Eye died. She died the year after Aaliyah died. Yeah, that was really bad. Then let's see. Hustle said he learned from his mother. I had to let her come home and watch her stories on the VCR before I bothered her. I do think it's an introvert thing. I also think, Smart, I know you said it was kind of masculine, but I also think that's a yin behavior, like to turn within yourself before you're able to actually nurture others. Like, I think that can be, just a feminine thing that we do. Then let's see a couple of things. Jeffrey said, "Wait, is Lady Buddha in another hotel?" Yes, she is. Lifestyle never ends. He also said, "If I do date a girl, I will be sure not to be a scrub, because girls and women do not like scrubs like that TLC song." Thank you, Jeff. We're glad that you know that. Then let's see, Evo. Hey, Evo. I wish I had the sound effects up. It said, "Evening, ladies. For some odd reason, I thought this was the 8 p.m. CST, not EST, and he was waiting, so you missed the gang of the show. You also missed us give you a shout out earlier, so welcome. We're glad you popped in." All right, so I'm going to stop right here because we got like 10 minutes before 9, and we need to get into finishing up. God, Orange is the New Black. So let me do my warning. Warning. We interrupt our regularly scheduled podcast episode for a special episode 12 and 13 review of season 2 is Orange is the New Black. Now, if you haven't had a chance to watch the episodes and you get in your feelings about spoilers, we advise you to fast forward the podcast to our cheers section, because we are going to spoil the shit out of this segment, especially since it is the finale. So without further ado,
Wait. The finale? I thought we didn't do episode 12.
We got
12 and
12 and
13.
13. Yeah, we're doing both of those at the same time. So episode 12 was tensions run high as a prison power outage forces several issues to come to light. Piper finds herself compromised and is forced to think on her feet. So they're in this power outage. Let's see. Poussey had she and Watson had a library scene, and she drunkenly throws bleach on the heroin supply, I think. B fires Tasty for it, and Tasty kind of begs her not to do that. But we see in that flashback scene, we saw a lot in that flashback scene. V was going through menopause. She and RJ, that was like her son, whatever, they ended up having sex. She finds out that RJ was starting his own side business, and we also saw that she got a cop to set RJ up and kill him.
That was so, ugh.
Yeah, that was bad. Like, we knew V was bad before, but that was like the confirmation that V is a hell of a villain. Then we also see Red and V have a fight, and Red tried to strangle her with plastic wrap. I'm sorry, y'all. My voice going out. And then Tasty and Poussey, they reconcile each other. We also see that Figueroa finds out at a fundraiser that her Senate-seeking husband likes penis.
We all knew that from last season, though. At least they hinted around enough about it. She knew something.
I didn't remember that at all. I didn't remember that at all.
Because they weren't having sex at all, and she was complaining about it early on last season, and they just gave a lot of hints. Like, that wasn't a shocker to me.
That something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so what else happened in that episode?
Well, I mean, it didn't happen sort of in the episode, but one thing with V getting with RJ that reminded me of, I think it was Poussey who said in a previous episode that V was essentially like a pedophile.
Right.
And so two things happened when I saw her getting with RJ or whatever his name is. It reminded me of the old men who are with young girls, and my mother always says, oh, yeah, because when you were 21, she was in 3rd grade. Like, my mother says that kind of stuff, and that's exactly what I thought there. Like, oh, yeah, I mean, and also, like, her nipples were disgusting. Let's just put that out there.
You know what? I wasn't even going to bring that up, but you have us.
What? No, it's not you.
Let me tell everybody what happens when we watch this show. First of all, Miss Smart and I have already watched the whole thing all the way through, so we know what's going to happen. Buddha comes in, and we say that we're going to discuss this on the podcast. Buddha comes and watches the show, and she wants to send us instant messages for like 2 hours straight trying to engage us in conversation. I shut her down. I do not engage. You're already engaged, so I let Blue engage you. I will not engage. But it never fails that she says something that draws Miss Smart into a commentary, and in this episode it was, oh my god, look at her nipples.
I was like,
something about her boobs on TV, or I didn't expect to see her, like, because everybody has shown their boobs on this show now. There's no one whose boobs we haven't seen except for Red.
Her nips look like dirty tires.
You heifers are nipple shaming.
I'm not shaming her nipples. I just wasn't expecting to see them.
I'm shaming them.
Yeah, Miss Smart went on for a minute about what she thought about the nipples.
I was like, that was the right thing to say to her, because she was gonna go out. I was like, oh my god.
I should have been shocked though, because every episode they show at least 2 pairs.
But
every episode they show boobs. They really
do. The supple young boobs they show, and then they hit us with this shit. This is a straight woman, so I can only imagine.
No, we would have said, you know what? They were age discriminating if we didn't see any old boobs. Like, we kept saying,
her boobs didn't look old.
They just look.
They look abused.
Well, I mean, look at her character. Was her character supposed to have like perky boobs? No,
they were perky though. They look like regular boobs. I just wasn't ready for
we're having this conversation, my Jesus.
No, those boobs look like an areola that has seen better days.
Can y'all behave? We have somebody new in the chat from Brazil.
Anyway,
I just want to give our new person who's viewing. I don't want them to think that we talk about nipples all the time.
we don't. But so I was in this episode though. I was really, really glad to see Pusey and Tasty get back together. That was my favorite relationship in season 1, and I didn't like the fact that they had this turmoil all throughout season 2. So I was really glad that they reconciled.
But wait, let me ask you this. So the ability for V to come into what seemed to be a very sincere relationship, a sincere friendship between the two of those, to me that leans toward that their sincere relationship, their friendship, was somewhat fragile.
I don't know. I mean, because over time.
Think about the backstory too. Tasty had a strong loyalty to V. Yeah. So it's almost like you have two people that you're strongly loyal to, and you have to choose. And she went back to the person because she had known V since childhood, like her formative years. So that kind of gives her a head up. Remember when she got out, that was the first person she went to go see. Was V. So
she took her in all kinds of things.
Yeah, I was glad that they got back, that they reconciled as well. Evo says thanks for the shout out, and he'll hear it when he downloads the show.
Word.
But yeah, any other thoughts about episode 12?
Well, I saw that that whole.
Big Boo. You gonna talk about Big Boo and the gay agenda?
No. Oh God. No, I forgot about that, but we can bring that up. I was gonna talk about Red and V because that was the thing that at the end when Red attacked V, I was proud of her, even though I'm anti-violence. However, I still was glad she did it. But when she gave up and she was like, I'm too old for this, and V acted like it was a truce, and then ended up coming back at her and like knocking the shit out of her, landing her in the hospital, like that was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's how that episode ended, was that lock in a sock thing. But we can talk about Big Boo's gay agenda.
Wait. There's a very valuable lesson in that Red V fight. When you have an enemy, it is best to kill them. You don't let them recover and come back at you. You have to kill them. You have to pull out their heart and possibly eat it like Daenerys on Game of Thrones.
And she knows what kind of person V is. That's why I didn't understand why she would trust that V wouldn't do that anymore. So that was, I thought Red showed a moment of weakness by thinking that V was a better person when she knew V wasn't.
Well, she's been showing, you all brought that up earlier because she showed that in a previous episode. And so I'm not sure which part of that is connected to her connection to the outside and the fact that, I don't know. It seems like she's been a lot more emotional these past couple of episodes. And maybe part of it is because she's been outside of the kitchen and everything else that goes along with it. So, I don't know.
Shout out to Evo. Yes, Detroit. But, is it menopause? What's making... here's the thing, and this is another life lesson. Just because you grow doesn't mean your adversaries grow. Doesn't mean people around you grow.
Yeah, and we have seen Red grow. That's true.
Right.
We've seen her change. We've seen her attitude change. And we've seen her really try to engage differently with people. And we've seen V just look, or at least be revealed as darker and darker every episode. That's one of the things I keep texting y'all. Is just how much darker can she be?
That's the one thing that I noticed was that in this show, they made a point. I don't know what's going on with my voice. But they made a point to make everybody a two-dimensional character except V. V was just the darkest person that you could ever imagine, but everybody else had two different sides to them. So, that was something that I noticed. Jeffrey says he did not see the show we were talking about, but we'll check it out. Jeffrey, it's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, Orange is the New Black. Our new listener, and I think this is Lunzanildo, that says, that's the person who we were trying to be on our best behavior for, says, I would understand all you're talking about. Most do not understand. What a shame. So thank you for joining us. Jeffrey says, what station? It's on Netflix. And then Evo says Detroit.
Woo woo. Except I'm not from there. I'm from
Whatever.
Maryland.
You are from
You already
Detroit.
decided that you're from Detroit. So
Right.
anyway.
Don't be petty. Don't get on Leonard Brothers' team with his pettiness.
Episode 13, we have Manners, We're Polite. This was the season finale.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it says, several futures hang in the balance as the inmates face and confront their worst nightmares. Life will never be the same again. So,
which one of these 2 episodes was the one where Bennett told Caputo that he was the father of Daya's baby?
This one. Do we want to go down everybody's storyline, like how it kind of wrapped up?
You can, girl, because I don't even remember. I didn't rewatch it.
I was watching it right before the show, right before the show came on, but I'm still coughing.
I know. That's what I was doing all day in work today. So I guess you got it now. Sorry.
Don't give it to me.
Okay, so Bennett did confess, but Caputo said shut up. The reason that he said shut up was because when Piper was in the shoe for stealing those files, that's another thing we didn't talk about. Mm-hmm. She got sent to the shoe for stealing the files. She tells Caputo that he's a good person, but Figueroa isn't, and she gives him the evidence. So he goes to bust Figueroa, finds her all distraught, ugly in the face, crying, and she's wearing what he thinks are sweatpants, but she's like, no, these are slacks. And so he tells her that, I've got the goods on you. She, kind of begs and grovels. He says, suck my dick. and he says it sarcastically. Right. No, he says it sarcastically, and she says, yeah, she was like, wait, okay. And so she does, but when she's finished, he says, I already turned the files over.
I really, really, really despise that scene. Because I am not a fan of Figueroa. I've never liked her.
I thought you were getting ready to say something else.
Oh, I won't even try to guess what you thought. But I never, you about to get it. I never liked her character at all. But I also still didn't like the fact that they felt that was kind of a good, just sort of a thing. Like that was her just rewards, was to have him kind of be like, flip about the fact that she would do that and to even have her do it in the first place. I just didn't like that power dynamic, and I didn't like to see any of that. There's nothing about that part that I liked. I didn't like it at all.
Well, but Figueroa is about getting the job done. Like, now she wasn't very thorough on that, and she actually hasn't been thorough across the board. If she's kept files documenting her thievery, then we can't expect her to ask questions prior to opening her mouth for a penis.
Right. I mean, I couldn't believe she didn't ask questions, but I just didn't like it as
not consciously couple in that situation. Right. She did not consciously couple.
But she wasn't raped, so.
She wasn't, and I also didn't like her conversation with Daya about the rape earlier in a previous episode that we didn't talk about. But
and that's kind of why I wasn't sympathetic in that scene, because I was like, you know what? She's a piece of work.
So part of what my problem was less about her, I think, and just more about I didn't like to see a character written and treated that way represented. I just didn't like it. So I just don't want that.
Because you're a good person, Buddha. You're a good person.
It's in my name. But anyway.
So that ends that storyline. Let's see. Rosa goes to the hospital. Finds out that she has 3 to 6 weeks to live. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. But the main thing was trying to find out who socked Red. And so when the story opens up, we see that Watson and Black Cindy were kind of having a private conversation. And they were saying, okay, what are we going to tell people when they, ask who did it? And Watson was like, well, V did it. And so V comes out of the bushes like, boo.
Right.
Tells them that they need to say that Suzanne Crazy Eyes was the one that did it. And they really didn't feel comfortable doing it, but like good minions do, they go ahead and tell the people in their report that, Crazy Eyes was the one that, attacked her.
And they oversold it, because really, they said they needed to imply that it was her, and they were like, yes, I'm positive it was her.
Right.
They took it extra. But anyway.
And then, even though Crazy Eyes at first was saying, I don't remember doing that, V convinced her that she could have done it, which was a really sad scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my voice. So, we see where Suzanne is going through this whole crisis of conscience because she can't find the lock anymore, which, of course, was planted by the greenhouse. And so just goes through this whole thing. And so then someone steals the heroin. Was it Nikki and those who stole it?
It was Nikki who moved it.
Okay, and left V a note. So V goes off on everybody in her crew. And that's when Poussey finally says, hey, y'all realize that she's crazy. And just the same way she did that to Suzanne, she'll do it to y'all. So the tide sort of shifts, and they come together, and they sort of isolate V out.
Yep.
And so that's when they decide to try to go back and advocate for Suzanne and tell the people that they lied, but it was kind of too late.
Yep.
But in the meanwhile, Haley, Haley is kind of growing on me because he just seems so lonely. When Pennsatucky stopped coming to his little group and nobody came, he felt like he was abandoned again.
Mm-hmm.
He thought the gay agenda got her. But he did a great thing in which he got the electrical guy to give Suzanne an alibi, which I thought was cool.
Yep.
So, so that's what...
Bad ethics, but used well. But anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Because I didn't want to see her go down for that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Alex visits Piper. Tells Piper that she leaves.
I just gotta call bullshit on that because...
Yeah, I knew you were going to say something about that.
Right. My experience and my reading says that convicted felons can't visit or write other felons in jail.
Yeah, they're not supposed to have any contact. So that was totally for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Alex visits Piper, tells her that she's leaving because she's afraid for her life.
Right.
Piper says she can't leave her because she doesn't have anyone left. A little back to me moment.
Back to me, baby. Back to me.
So then Piper she calls Larry and her best friend. I always forget the best friend's name.
Polly.
Yeah. And gets them to call in to Alex's probation officer to tell her that she's violated her probation, so she gets to go back to jail. Which
that was
ultimate petty right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She won the petty parade on that one.
Pennsatucky gets a gay dude. That's what I put down.
I didn't like. I was sad that her hair was looking like that.
Yeah, her hair was awful. She's
had bad wigs. Pennsatucky's had those wigs that start back here like the whole season, and it's been really, really tragic.
Well, at least she got her teeth fixed. She got her teeth fixed, and then she had to do something else.
Yeah.
I like the long hair though.
But if it starts an inch behind her hairline, it's just sitting there like a hair hat. Word to Lovey. Then I can't get behind that. At least sew it down.
You're in prison. Come on.
Okay, and they have a transgender woman who has her wig sewn securely on her head. It's still a little thickness, but it's still securely sewn.
That's true, and Tasty used to get her hair got blonde sewn in season 1. Anyway,
but they have the thread, they have the needles.
One of the other notes I put in that I thought was really cute was that Ruiz's boyfriend was finally showing some emotion with the baby.
He was
After
talking
they found
to
out
her.
that the transfers weren't going through, she was going to stay. And his smile and his face and just everything, I just, I got some feels in my heart, when I saw that, because that was real cute. Because he spent 12 episodes looking stoic. So I thought that was cute. The other thing was that while they were interviewing all of the prisoners, Rosa said specifically that when it came to Red, that V did it. And she said, that woman is rude, and I don't like rude people.
Yeah.
So that comes to the part where they notice that V, first of all, after the heroin is gone and blah, 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 V escapes the prison.
Miss Smart, you keeping cool over there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is whatever.
Okay, go ahead.
So V escapes the prison, and then they have a lockdown because they notice V is missing when they go to arrest her. And then in that moment, Borelli is driving Rosa back. They found out that Rosa only has that 3 to 6 weeks to live. Morelli convinces Rosa to just run with the van. And so Rosa takes off, and when she does, she hits and kills V.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's dead.
Okay.
Yeah, they had her eyes still open. Yeah.
Her eyes are open and she's bleeding out the side of her head. But what we didn't say is that what's the mute woman's name?
Oh yeah, they did the Santeria curse.
They decided that she was gonna try to. She's like, "What you doing over here, Mama?" Gloria goes over there and sees her with all these apples, and she was like, "You have to use more apples than have been given to any teacher you've ever known, and then you have to do all these fancy things with lie and shove it down her throat to try to kill her." And she's like, "There are other ways, Mama." And they do all this whole spell, and they got dog hair and grinding stuff and eggs and creating all kinds of stuff, and basically they cast a spell on V to get her out, to put a root on her. Yep, get her out, and then boom.
Take it old school.
Yep. So when she went missing, they looked up like,
like they knew the plan was in motion.
Yeah.
So that's when I stopped watching because the show was about to start. So did I miss anything that happened after that?
Honey.
That was the end, yeah.
That was literally the end. She hit V and it was like, it was over.
Let me just say this, wait a minute, let me just say this about the woman who, Rosa, about, knowing that she was terminal. I kind of feel like if I were terminal, I would do that as well, but I would probably do it high off heroin. Like, I would like, fuck it, I'm about to ball out on all the ridiculous behavior that I have squashed in all of my life. Like, I'm about to just do it. Like, I'm about to get high. I'm about to have all the sex. I'm about to, like, bungee jump. I'm going to steal things. Like, if you're going to be a monkey, be a gorilla. And I feel like with 3 weeks to live, that's the right time.
She said, if you're going to be a monkey, be a gorilla.
Well, but we saw her, when she got in, she was like driving the car all fast and getting away. It was a rush. And that was the thing that made her saddest, we found out in her backstory about being in prison, is that she couldn't smell the cash. Right. And she couldn't feel the rush anymore. So even just getting, driving away, is enough of a rush that even if she dies tomorrow, she did the equivalent of all those things.
I kind of hope she goes out like Set It Off. Like goes and robs a bank like Cleo. But yeah. So final thoughts on the series as a whole, because we've seen 2 seasons. So what do y'all think?
I think that I want to send a hard side eye to Wisdom is Misery about him. He saw the first season. He's talking about the first person he hated isn't Piper. Like, that wasn't immediately called upon in his mind. Like, who do you dislike the most? Like, how can you not dislike her the most?
Wait, but who was more?
I feel like my feelings are changing towards Wisdom is Misery because I judge people based on how they feel about Piper.
He said he disliked Daya's mother more.
Oh, no, I didn't dislike her at all.
Exactly.
No, and it's funny because I told y'all I started making Blue watch Orange is the New Black season 1, so we started from the beginning. And, my dislike for Piper kind of built over time, and it took me like half the season to decide I really didn't like her. He decided by the end of episode 1 and going into episode 2, he just was like, I can't really deal with that one.
And that's how we know that Blue is a good man.
Good man.
That is how we know.
All the stuff that we said about her when we did our season recap for episode 1, and he's never heard it. He was all over it. He said almost verbatim the same stuff. I was like, have you been sneaking listening to that podcast before you watch these shows? Yeah. He doesn't like her at all. He's like, she's playing all these games. She's doing all this cute white girl shit. And it's just too much.
Well, you guys know she was on Melissa Harris Perry this weekend.
You said that, and I haven't watched it.
What happened?
She was on MHP.
Melissa Harris Perry this weekend talking about particularly juveniles in the justice system and
the real one or the actress?
The real one, yes.
The real one.
Was she any more likable in person?
She's
I
so
don't think so. I wasn't focused on her. I was focused on some other people, some other things on the docket. But I didn't get the feeling that she was like she came across as I'm still kind of better than this, but I have to be on here.
Oh, okay. So Piper was piping.
But I'm shaded against her. I'm pettily against her. So
Piper gonna pipe. That's
Piper gonna pipe, girl.
Mhm.
Yes.
So are you guys looking forward to season 3? Like, do you have any predictions? What do you think is gonna go on?
I am looking forward to season 3, and I'm hoping that Miss whatever her name is, Erlene or whatever, who had the ring with the little child slaves, huh?
The Haitian woman?
Yeah, I want her to come back, and I also want to get to the bottom of why the track chick, like, what did she put in her hair? Like, I feel like that.
Her hair is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
I've been thinking the same thing. It's getting better. It's getting prettier and prettier, shinier and shinier.
Her hair was so beautiful, even when it was like this last episode when she just had it pulled back in a ponytail.
It was gorgeous. I noticed the wave.
I was like, girl.
Yeah.
I noticed it too. Yep.
Yes. We got several. Let's see. We got several comments in the chat. They're not in order, so I know I'm gonna have. Okay, let's see. This is from Lanzanildo. He says, "All have a good night or good morning there to where you are." And he is in Brazil.
All right.
Then let's see. Romero says apple cider vinegar could help with that. Actually, that's what I just did a few seconds ago. I went and got me some apple cider vinegar water. We were on the same page. Let's see. Evo says Piper can go straight to hell. Do not pass go and do not collect $200. Just go to hell. We are all in agreement about that. Hustle Crow says Smart has that AC on 1,000 below.
I do. Right, I do.
That's because it's so cold in the D. She gotta
She gotta try to simulate.
Birds will not the truth be heard. And then Hustle Crow says she's from Maryland because she knows where to get the good mambo sauce.
Wait, let me just stop right there. Hustle Crow. The Wegmans in Colombia is selling mambo sauce, like selling that stuff on the thing, and I'm like, should I buy it or should I just go like to Howard China and get it like normal? Like I'm torn about what I need to do, so help me figure that out.
Whatever. Then he says to get on topic, I haven't watched the series but saw a post on Facebook talking about it's going to be over after season 3. What's up with that? I hadn't heard that. But I don't know where else they could really go for it because I think her sentence was, 4 years? So,
I don't know, but they said that the rumors has been canceled or false, and they don't know where y'all heard that from.
Oh, okay.
I saw them responding to that video.
So we're still going to have it. Then, let's see. Hustle told Linzanudo that we are ratchet.
Okay.
And then he says he loves ratchetness. He's from PG County. It doesn't get more ratchet than that. We've been known you a ratchet, Hustle. Yeah. Then Jeff said, even though Sojo, Lady Buddha, and Miss Smart are ratchet, they are also pretty nice and kind, and they are all smart. Thank you, Jeff.
Lady Buddha isn't ratchet.
Yes, you are. We can read.
Knows that I am the calm whiskey of the group.
We can read your instant messages from when you were watching Orange is the New Black and go ahead.
I have to because my phone completely died. Oh.
Your texts were funny. And then he said he's been known that we were ratchet ever since he first watched them, but he likes them anyway. So thank you for that.
I reject that.
That's the one that's in the Wegmans. Well, maybe it's not Capital City. I got a picture right here.
I reject that. Anyway, yeah. What else?
All right, we're finished with our comments. We can go ahead and get to our cheers. Buddha, do you have cheers this week?
I've been thinking about it, and no, I don't. No cheers for me.
You got cheers for the $2 drinks?
Okay, yeah. Cheers for 2 cans in Brunswick. I'm in Brunswick, Georgia, where people stare at me whenever I walk into a room for whatever reason. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in Brunswick. Now I understand why they're staring.
Well, all I know is it's strange, and they just gape, and I just want them to stop doing that.
You're a goddess walking among mere mortals.
That's it right there. That's what it goes down to.
Well, they feed you well and supply you with $2 drinks, and so shout out to Toucan, Brunswick. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Cheers.
Oh, and tell them where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter, sort of, except for this week. I'm at ND Collier, that's Collier. And even, I think I updated my blog maybe a week ago. Maybe it's time for me to do it again, but you can still check out my old blogs at Coco Studio, so www.cocostudio, COCO Studio, cocostudio.com. All right, what about y'all?
Wait, before y'all go on, Hustle Smart says that his homegirl sells the mumbo sauce, Capital City mumbo sauce, and that you can buy it in Wegmans. Evo wants to know how the American wedding planning is going. Who's gonna sing Queen to Be?
She's a queen.
None of y'all asked the important question to be on the podcast, so the wedding planning is slow and steady wins the race. Yep.
And then Romero said, did he miss the ratchetness because he was late logging on? Yes. Well, actually, you know what? We weren't ratchet at all. We were very classy because that's how we do things.
I was. Anyway.
Smart, where can they find you and who are you giving your cheers to?
You can find me at think_P_smart on the Twitter. And I've been having like fits of fancy on Twitter where I'll just like tweet for like 45 minutes, anything to stop myself from doing work. So I've been doing that every so often. I don't necessarily have cheers, but I do want to address Hustle Pro's thing about Wegmans. So maybe it is in the Wegmans in PG County, but the one in Howard County has Argia B's Mambo Sauce, America's finest BBQ sauce, tangy, hot flavor. And we all know Mambo sauce is not fucking barbecue sauce. Like, that gets into my spirit. That somebody
I don't even know what Mambo sauce is.
Y'all know about to say, I don't even know what y'all talking about. Y'all speaking that Maryland.
It's the best condiment for some hot chicken wings, okay? And by best, I mean only. That's the end, point blank period. It's both sweet, it's both spicy. It is the nectar of God. It is your juice on your wings.
So when Buddha and I come for this FAMU Howard game, you gonna get us some mumbo sauce?
Yeah, we gonna go get the wings from the place that may or may not look like you should eat from there with the thick plexiglass, because they have the best wings. Or Stan's. I think you went to Stan's before with the really strong drinks. They have some decent wings. The Stan's wings stay hot like for a freaking hour. I can't eat them anymore because old people's stomach, but I mean, I'll put you on some. So yeah, I don't have necessarily cheers, except maybe to say cheers to the good people over at the Wegmans in Columbia, because they see me 3 times a week and they always help me out.
Wait, okay, and you already told them where to find you, right?
Yeah, think_P_smart. I'm not going to say anything about my website, but I mean, I am working on it. Like, don't be petty. I mean, I'm trying to
I didn't say anything.
I'm transferring my domain, and I'm going to schedule it to do some posts, maybe. I don't know.
That's what you, yeah.
Anyway, my turn.
All right, so my Twitter handle is at SOJOXOXO, and I want to thank everybody who, after last week when I told y'all I was hovering on that devil's number, 666, I was about to block Buddha so I could just go back down to a righteous number, but I got some new followers, so now I don't feel, I was supposed to as satanic anymore. But my website is www.feminine.com. My cheers are going to the staff over at Mama Gina's School of the Womanly Arts in New York. I kind of popped in their store on a whim. I had read Mama Gina's book, and so when I saw that she had a business in New York, I just kind of popped in there. And when I did, everybody was just so nice and friendly, and they gave me fans and tattoos and all this stuff. And so when I got back home, I had gotten a really nice email from Lauren over there, and she called me Moonshine because I told her about the podcast, which they actually checked out. And so I just wanted to give them cheers because they were so friendly. We got, let's see, trying to see somebody. Okay, never mind. Romero said we should add an open question section to the end of our podcast for answering random questions. That's when it would be ratchet, and we don't want to be ratchet,
Right,
Romero.
but because we know people are gonna ask personal questions, and then we're gonna have to be all like, "Motherfucker, I don't even know you like that," like, and then we don't want to do that to the people. But feel free to tweet them to us, and we can just tell you privately, like, "Nah, dog, we're not gonna do it."
But our website is www.whiskeywineandmoonshine.com. Our Facebook page is Whiskey Wine and Moonshine. Our Twitter handle is @WhiskeyWineMoon. We do want you guys to follow us, shout us out, do all that good stuff. And of course, meet us back here next Tuesday at 8 so that we can have, actually it'll be our first full episode in almost a month. So we are looking forward to that. So if that's all, we're going to go ahead and tell everybody cheers for the evening. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Not no lemonade left, but whatever, y'all.